What's up, friends? So today we're going to be checking out a brand new Netflix show that's quite mind-boggling, to say the least. Today we're going to be checking out Brand New Cherry Flavor. So Brand New Cherry Flavor is a new Netflix show, as I mentioned before. There's a total of 1 season out right now, with 8 episodes in total. And Brand New Cherry Flavor essentially follows the adventure of a young filmmaker who travels to LA in hopes of making a film. Little does she find out that it's not as easy as it seems. Let's just say things go a bit dark pretty quickly. Now, first off, right before we begin, I have to preface something about this show. If you were expecting a show where it's about a character experiencing LA, learning about the difficulties of filmmaking, a show grounded in reality, this is definitely not that. This is quite the opposite, in fact. You know, the theme is that she's going to LA to make a film, but what actually goes down is definitely the opposite of any of that. This show is very much a horror, dark drama that has heavy influences of curses, magic, honestly, insanity, dark comedy. It's all in here, but it's definitely not what you'd expect if you're going into it expecting a plot about a filmmaker going to LA pursuing their dream. This show is very much kind of like a spiritual thriller horror show that will have you reeling at every turn. It will have you confused. It will have you stunned. It will make you reconsider starting it at times. It'll also draw you in and hook you at times and make you never want to stop watching. It's insane. So if you don't want insanity, if you don't want a crazy show that is not grounded at all in reality and instead grounded in imagination and pushing the limits of filmmaking and what exactly it is to make a TV show, then this is definitely the show for you. But starting off with, if it's engaging, this show will appeal to a very specific type of person. If you're somebody who loves insanity and unbelievable curveballs, somebody who just loves to be surprised at every moment, somebody who's seen it all maybe in television and wants something new and completely different, if you're somebody who likes horror and aspects of reality blended with horror and magic and curses, then this might be the perfect show for you. If it is the perfect show for you, however, it will have you hooked all the way up until the end. The pacing is fantastic, the acting is stunning, the setting is amazing, and the storyline starts out a little bit confusing, so bear with it. If this is something that does interest you, and take a couple episodes to fully decide if you want to continue watching the show, because it does start a little confusing, especially if you don't know that it's a horror insanity type show. You're going to be very thrown off within the first couple episodes because it is insane. And some of the things you see, the best way to describe it is you can be like, what the WTF is going on? That's the best way you can describe it, because that is what it is. Now, everything that happens is carefully curated and there is an overall plan to everything. But starting out the show, you're going to be very confused and you're going to have a hard time grasping at what exactly is going on. But if you stick with it, you'll understand everything and it'll be worth it, especially if this is your type of show. If you like shows like AHS or shows like Bates Motel, shows that kind of bend reality, even though Bates Motel is based a little bit more in reality than this show for sure, but shows that really challenge your perspective as to what can be in a show. I think one of the things that will really draw you in the show, if you like this type of content, is how jarring it can be at times. There are situations that occur, scenes that occur that will have your mind stressed out. It'll have your eyes wide, it'll have your jaw on the floor, and that I think will help to draw in a lot of viewers. You know, a lot of people are really going to be stunned by some of the things that occur in this show, and that'll help to keep them engaged. You learn more about the situation she's in, what she's gotten herself into, and what goes down as the show progresses. And as you learn more and more about the world and the different characters, you just get more hooked and more hooked. So in terms of characters, there really is a primary focus on one single character, and all the other characters aren't necessarily fully built out. So the main character, Lisa, played by Rosa Salazar, kills it. I mean, you have to give her props. She does such a fantastic job, and she will draw you in, if anything. Her character, her personality, her background, and the situation she's in, and you kind of feel for her because you're like, WTF, I want to know how she rather succeeds or fails across this mission, across what she's doing, because you feel for her, you know, you understand her story, and it's something that all of us go through, you know, chasing a dream. So you feel for her and you want her to succeed, and this journey with her. And the show does a fantastic job of building her out as a full-on character. Other characters, however, aren't so fully fleshed out. There are some characters who get a little bit more screen time and you understand a little bit more of their backstory, but altogether, a lot of the characters are kind of useless, and you're gonna end up hating most of the people you meet, other than Lisa, which is kind of unfortunate. In terms of what's unique about the show, as I mentioned before, one of the craziest and best things about the show is you're gonna see things you'll never seen before in your life. You're gonna see things that will boggle your mind and completely make you go, what am I watching? You know, and that can be a good thing or a bad thing. You know, a lot of people like their shows to be grounded in reality and to make them relate to situations or make them remember situations, so on and so forth. And some people like their shows to stun them. Shows to be so far out of reality. This show definitely leans that direction. So if you like chaos, if you like insanity and situations that will have your jaw on the floor, then this is definitely the show for you. In addition to that, the horror elements in the show are so well done in that they're highly unsettling. Even if you're a seasoned horror pro, somebody who's watched tons of horror films, something in this show, one or another, will unsettle you and will make you rather sick to your stomach or just afraid. And I think that's the beauty of this show, is that it plays with all these horror elements so well and helps to create a universe that is so engaging and really makes you interested in learning about all the secrets of it. So all in all, I give this show a 3 out of 4. Worth checking out if you have the time, especially if anything I mentioned in this review interested you or made you think, oh, this is a type of show I kind of like. Definitely give the show a try. So all in all, let me know in the comments below if you do check out Brand New Cherry Flavor, what you think, if you agree with my review or not. Leave a like and subscribe if you like this type of content. And now we'll be moving on to the Parents Guide. So Brand New Cherry Flavor is rated TVMA, and I would say it's relatively graphic altogether. In terms of violence, I give the show a 4 out of 5. There is blood and gore in this show. A lot of it is a little bit later in the show. However, throughout the entire show, there is themes of death and themes of murder that can be hard to watch for a lot of viewers. The show is very dark in nature. The humor in it is dark. Satire in it is dark. The situations in it here are dark. Everything is dark. Especially near the end of the show, in the last 3 episodes, there is a lot more gore and there's a ramp up of violence. There are scenes with a lot of blood, scenes with death, scenes with graphic violence. It can be pretty gruesome. There are also very unsettling scenes that can be very hard to watch for some viewers. If you have a light stomach, or if you're somebody who, let's say, throws up when others throw up, definitely don't check this show out, because there's a lot. There's also some animal deaths and animal cruelty. It's not as graphic as some other shows, but it is there, and so I just want to warn you. So if you're somebody who really doesn't like violence, who doesn't like unsettling scenes, I definitely would not recommend checking this show out. In terms of sexual content, I give this film a 4.5 out of 5. There's one scene with full frontal male nudity that's focused on. It's a little bit prolonged. It can be very graphic, especially if you're not expecting it. There's also a couple scenes where there's female top nudity, specifically when she's in the bathtub, but also scenes when she's checking herself for some specific situation that I'm not gonna ruin, but is very interesting and jarring, let's just say. So these scenes are prolonged and she is relatively nude for a good amount of them, so just beware. There's also sex scenes that are prolonged and scenes where sexual situations are described. And finally, in terms of language, I give this show a 4.5 out of 5. There is a good amount of language. There is F word relatively frequently, S word, D word constantly. There is a lot of language. If language is something that puts you up, I also would not recommend this show. So altogether, I definitely would not recommend this show for younger audiences. In fact, I wouldn't even recommend it for a good amount of audiences. You really have to have an iron stomach. You really have to be willing to handle quite graphic scenes and graphic situations. You have to be able to handle insanity at its finest. Then and only then would I recommend this show. Otherwise, this might be a skip. As I mentioned before, this show will appeal to a very specific type of person, a very specific type of viewer. If that's you, please check it out because it's unbelievable. If anything I mentioned in this review was kind of like, oh, I don't know if that's me, then I probably wouldn't recommend checking this show out. Let me know in the comments below if you do check it out and what you think. And until next time, I'll catch y'all later.